painting was not my first choice as a career. I thought I was going to go into theater at first and music, but didn't have the talent for it. I studied music at the University of Lowell School of Music for about a year. I basically hated it. I wasn't getting where I thought I should be as a performer, so I ended up doing less and less practicing and focusing more on artwork. And then my father died, so it was time to change. And it made me more political. It came on the same time as I realized that I was gay. So back then it was 85 was coming to my realization, 84, and then 86 he died. So politics at the time was such that it was really important to be involved, and that ended up coming to life in a lot of my artwork, as far as the collage atmosphere, where I would pull in newspaper articles and important bits of text, also poetry that I had written. Deals a lot with my own emotions, either with my father or myself at the time. Everyone in the family has some degree of artistic ability, all the way back to my grandmother, who was a painter and used to do large amounts of little tiny miniature landscapes on Martha's Vineyard. And then my mother also did painting. And my father did a lot of scrimshaw and drawing. I also have my one brother who has always done some amount of artwork because it's always been around the house. I don't think he's ever pursued it enough. He did do some photography. My mother did my first painting classes, and she would do, basically in the summer, we did a lot of painting together. Little watercolor classes with a lot of the older ladies that lived on Martha's Vineyard. And so they would get together once a week and paint on our porch. And my mother would orchestrate them in a way to get them all focused into painting instead of gossip. And then I would join with them and paint with them ever since I was a little kid. Art school was a huge high point because I didn't think it was actually going to happen. I had not been in an art class since high school, and even in high school I didn't take art. And I basically did it on my own, and so getting into art school was a big high point. My first show, it was a group show with South End artists, and a friend of mine had seen my work. She'd come over, and I think she was only coming over to look just to be nice, and then she was very excited, and it was really a wonderful feeling that she really wanted me to be in the show, and it wasn't just an extension of the friendship. I got to talk to a gentleman who is a famous collector for one of the local colleges, Dr. Gottlieb, and he purchased one painting. And we talked for a few minutes, and then he walked away. And he was kind of a fun person to talk to, very interesting, and kind of it was in the summer, and he was wearing a hat and a cane, and so it was obviously it was a trek for him to come. And then he came back several hours later and purchased another painting because he was so excited, and it was really great. And I didn't actually realize who he was until I was watching television, and then there he was, being a huge collector for living people. In art school, I was taking a drawing class, and it was more my fault than anything else, but the teacher for the art class realized that I wasn't pushing myself, and then basically told me that I had no ability to even draw, or that I wasn't even capable of making a composition. And being a smart-ass person, I just said nasty things and left. But it made me think more, and it pushed me harder, which was, I think, her point. But it did depress me at the time. Every once in a while there's a need for change, and I know there's a need for change, and I don't know where to go, and so there comes a low point where I just have to think, and so I don't paint, and I become very depressed. I can't remember the exact times that they happened, but I do know that they happen fairly often. And then I either move on or continue painting afterwards, hopefully resolving some of the issues that I think are not working with the current. My first influences for painting were the Surrealists. So I was very into Juan Miro and Paul Klee and Mata, who one of his paintings was really beautiful. I remember seeing it in college and always thinking about it. So it was his painting of the 1,000 Points of Light. Then I met a painter that I painted next to, who got me into working more with collage and found elements and abstracting more. It was a woman named Barbara, and she was a huge influence on how I painted for many years, and made me explore my boundaries as far as what I would paint with. Then I also worked with Kafi Kaiga, who was a teacher of mine in art school just prior to working with Rob Moore. And Kafi was incredible in that he would let you go and do whatever you wanted to do. You didn't have to do anything if you didn't want to, so long as you could explain your reasoning behind it and really think. And he kind of expanded my freedom for what I would paint and how I would do it. Another artist that came later was Lee Krasner. Didn't really realize she existed until I got to take a course where women in art were more focused upon. And then her collage work and her building and painting was a huge influence for me. Rob Moore was a teacher at Mass Art and a painter here in the South End. He was gay, and he had HIV at the time that I met him. I basically took a painting class, which was it's a 9-hour class a week, plus a drawing class with him 1 year at Mass Art near my junior year, where he helped me develop a lot of my thinking on how drawing works and how to draw, and how to think spatially with form and space. So he was really good in that respect. Plus he was a great person. to talk to about artwork and painting. And I thought of, out of the South End artists that I knew at the time, a very successful, and had he not died in 92, I believe he probably would be very successful. My painting's changed a little just in its basic style since in the last 10 years. It's gotten a lot thicker and a lot more involved and a lot more detailed. Earlier works, although they still have a lot of the similar collage element and a lot of the same use of symbols and shapes and patterns. They've gotten more dense over time. And now I've been isolating them more so that it's more focused, so that there's one symbol. No matter how abstract or meaningful it actually is, it's really the symbol becomes more meaningful as a one focused image. Prior to that, I'd always been building them together and relating them together and overlapping and obscuring them with the collage element, which now I still do, only I focus on one element at a time. The symbols in the paintings, a lot of them relate to remembered things. It's a shape or an image that has been abstracted or simplified to a point that it only evokes the memory of what I remember most at the time that I first saw or first had the image. So the symbol itself becomes an icon of sorts for experience. So different ones, they all come from different things. Some can go back really far and some are new. A lot of them have meaning already, depending on the type of symbol that it is. And when it comes into play, they have both emotional meaning for some and some purely political or abstract even. So there can be many different things that come in as for any particular image. I don't think you're ever really done, otherwise you wouldn't paint again. One painting leads to the next, leads to the next, and leads to the next. Why you stop on one is because you've reached a point where it is saturated with all that you can give it, but your actual creative mind isn't done, so you move on to the next one, and that's how I think I work. Well, getting a show is really great because then a lot of anticipation and energy goes into setting the show up and getting ready for the show, getting the work together, doing the advertising, getting the cards and all that stuff. The excitement builds, and it's really probably the best part of the show. Even after the show is up and it's done, I have kind of a detached feeling about the show, and then I feel like it's no longer mine. And then usually at the opening or just after, there's a little depression. I don't know if it's just a natural chemical thing that happens from building up so much energy prior to the show, or if it's just a sensation of having worked so hard to develop something and now it's on its own, and now you don't have that control and you don't have that, it's its own thing. by the time the painting is done and I've put it down, it's already away from me and I've moved on to something new. So selling a piece is actually a good thing, because then it has a place and it's being seen and it's in someone's home and it has a life and it's not sitting on a shelf somewhere. I do feel successful as an artist, solely for the reason that I've continued to do it. I think it is the curse of the art student to go to art school and be really into being an artist while being directed, but as soon as they're out of art school, they stop. So just to be able to continue and to continue growing and learning in my own painting, I feel that I've been successful.